Hello lovelies! I just finished my first semester at Ohio State University in their design program, and I wanted to go through all of the artworks that I made this semester for my two design classes. The first one I made was a digital version made on Illustrator that uses only primary shapes like squares, equilateral triangles, and circles to communicate a feeling. So I did mine as Confusion, and this was not the first version, this was the second or third version that ended up being final, and then I had to remake that out of paper that I had to cut by hand, glue, and try to make it look the most accurate to the digital version as I could. My second project I actually have here. Some of them I do not have, some of them I do, because they're either digital or I had turned them in and I did not get them back. But the second one that I did was we had to take the primary contour of any object, which I did a origami butterfly, and we had to make one drawing that shows the primary contour being very static, which is not movement, and then one that's dynamic, which has a lot of movement. So this was the static version, and then this was the dynamic. Maybe that's better, yeah. The next project was also both digital. We had to take the primary and secondary contour of an object. I chose my Polaroid camera and do something with the design to make it feel both static and dynamic. So I thought of the idea of what a camera looked like when it flashed, and that's what I used for the inspiration for my dynamic portion. For the next project, I had to take the primary and secondary contours of an object. This time I did an origami crane and draw them in 4 different ways. So I have one that's just the primary and secondary contour without any details, primary and secondary contour with some of the details like the little folds and inconsistencies in the paper. One that is a drawing that shows the contour lines of the object, and then another that is made of cut black paper. My next project is a little hard to show, so I'm gonna have to show the digital versions of it, of the pictures at least. I had to do 50 drawings of the same apple. So I did them in, accordion books, like that. I have 2 of them, 2 sets of 25, and I rotoscoped a video of me pushing the apple over, and I did it for 1 second at 24 frames a second, so I added just 1 extra frame, and I did those in 2 different art styles. The next project I had was pretty cool. We had to take any fruit again. They suggested we do the same one, so I used the same apple, and we had to do one board that is observations about the fruit itself and a number of drawings for that, and then one that is analysis of how it looks and some scale drawings of it. This was my observation board. I had a number of different drawings of the apple, and I gave some historical context. I think this is where I put the etymology of the word apple and some of the basic history behind it. And then this was my analysis board that has the scale drawings. These are the exact size of the actual apple I had, and a little bit of information about what the fruit itself looks like. Also had a third part that I do not have with me, and we had to take a scale model of the fruit that we picked and turn it into a box. In my case, it was a cube because it was near perfect, and on the inside we had to draw something interesting about the fruit that we picked, and I turned the inside into a house. I imagined little apple people living in this house, and I decorated it with little apple doodads and things. That was my favorite part of the whole project, was to bring a little bit of whimsy into it, and I got to do a little bit of imagination with what my fruit could hold. Next project I had was to turn a tessellating shape that we made on Illustrator and turn it into a physical puzzle. This one was really cool, really fun. I got to learn how to use a Cricut and our school's laser cutter, which was really, really fun. The puzzle pieces are all put together by hand, and I made them to emulate a starry, cloudy night sky. Kind of to build off of that last project, our final project in that class was to make a model using the shapes of our tessellation in a what's called a serial plane, which is where you repeat one shape multiple times in order. So I took one of the curves that was on the puzzle piece, I cut those little star shapes into it, and I built it around the hexagon. So all of the pieces from the original puzzle were in this new model, but in different ways. My next project was to make a collage using certain design recipes as we learn them in class. So different combinations of things like framing, focal point or focal points, pattern, movement, things like that. So I decided to take pictures that I took from my trip to Paris and turn them into this little collage that I made to emulate the streets of Paris, where all of the buildings are pointing towards the Eiffel Tower, and it kind of looks like what Paris is. A lot of times you can see the Eiffel Tower from most places, so I thought that would be a really, really fun idea. The last and final project for that class was to make a board that has at least 5 different frames, kind of like a comic book, where we had to use certain of those design recipes we learned in class and put together a story that is about 2 objects that we have interacting. And so I chose a suit jacket that I had tailored and one of my strings of pearls, and it felt very 1940s to me. So I used old films from the 1940s to influence the color grading, the framing that I was using, and the text at the top of the project. And this became such a fun project for me. I actually filmed a version of the original idea I had in my dorm room. See if I can play it here. That kind of gave a broad outline of what I wanted to draw, and I used those as references for the rest of the project. All in all, I really could not have had a better first semester when it comes to classes and pretty much everything else. My professors were fantastic, and I cannot wait for semester 2. If any of you guys are wondering and looking to go to experiential media design next year. So I'm really, really excited to see how that pans out. So I'm really excited to see how this continues. I'm super excited for semester 2, and go Bucks.